in my mind, honestly, what's helped me grow so far, some of the videos that did the best for me they were a long time ago, back when like my audience was still like really, like there was a really significant growth pattern. I think it was also earlier in TikTok. But the videos that did the best for me was like, here's how to build an airline, or like a flight directory app, like a kayak.com or a Skyscanner.
Yeah.
It was like that. And it got
Yeah.
like, I think like 200,000 views, and it built me a bunch of followers because I had a bunch of other tutorials on similar tech stuff. And like, that's niche as hell. Like that is such a specific idea that I guess a lot of people in the startup space are interested in building, but it's still really neat. But it ended up doing really, really well for me. Like, I think that video alone got me like a couple thousand followers. So in my experience, personally, broad videos haven't done well because most of my channel is these highly specific, super niche tech tutorials, and some of them do well and most of them don't. But
Yeah.
I have had some really broad videos. Like there was one video that I think like got like 1.5 million views, the biggest video I've ever, only like real, like semi-viral video. And it was basically a loose tutorial on how to get somebody to forward texts to you automatically based on a shortcut on your phone to solve the conflict issue, which is where there's only one person that manages an account and it'll shut down everything in. It was topical. It was relevant. The Netflix thing just happened. People were starting to get their accounts shut down. So I think it was relevant. But that video, despite doing 1.5 million views and being super tech oriented, because people looked at the rest of my accounts after they viewed that video and they saw tutorials, they didn't see those other broad, like applicable videos. I got maybe like 100, 200 followers from it. So I haven't had a lot of broad videos do really, really well. So maybe I'm a bad person to ask on, but it seems to me that at least for me so far, keeping things niche to some degree and then branching out whenever there is like my niche of no code intercepts with some other popular thing or a relevant topic that's like happening now, something newsworthy, then sometimes it seems to work. But even then, the people that I then reach are just people. They're not tech interested people. But when a tech interested person sees my videos, they're like, great, awesome, this guy does tech, let me follow him for more tech stuff. But when I do broad stuff, it's hard, I think, I would assume people look at my account and go, oh, this is a guy I want to follow, because I don't do broad stuff.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
like related to the conversion rate discussion, right? Like what kind of videos do you want to create and like what optimizes for conversion rate? How are you distinguishing between certain videos made for brands when you're working with brands? I've seen you work with Zapier and like a bunch of other companies. So is there like a difference when you are in the mindset of a brand, or are you still creating the content as if it's you? I guess what's the appetite for brands for creating content?
I do a lot of work with like SaaS startups, tech startups, usually in the no code space, tools that help people do things easier. In my experience, working with brands, it really depends. Like some brands, they reach out to me because they see my videos and that's usually how I find clients, which is great. But half of them reach out to me and they're like, we love how you make videos. Here is the loose idea. Make us a tutorial on how basically just kind of like how to use this tool. Sometimes they won't even give me like a topic necessarily. It's just use our tool in one of your videos. Very, very loose, very like high amount of creative freedom on my part. And I vastly prefer working with those kind of clients. But the other half of the clients, usually smaller startups that probably just got venture funding, something like that. They have a very specific vision. Their marketing manager, their social media manager, or their influencer manager, whoever's reaching out to me, has a very specific vision in mind. They'll try to give me a script. They'll hit me with, here are like the 5 points that you need to hit. We want you to walk through this kind of sequence. They outline it really, really closely for me. It's just me essentially posting exactly what they want on my channel. And sometimes they'll use it, a lot of the times they'll use it in ads and stuff like that. So I get scripting something or making something a little bit more specific if you're using it in advertising. But it really varies. Yeah, it's usually on a spectrum between those two extremes.
I guess like what performs, like what Yeah. What performs does it matter at all? And when they are running ads on top of it, or like, taking the content and running like ads on your account?
In my experience, the videos that whenever a client hits me with the rigorously scripted setup for a video that they want, I've never really honestly seen one of those videos perform crazy well. Maybe one or two have done pretty solid. But the only videos that I've made for clients that have performed, it's always hard to get some, or it's even harder if you're advertising something. For the videos that have performed really well, when I've made them for clients, they've just kind of asked me an idea. Hey, make a video on like one sentence, and then all of the rest of it is my creative freedom. Yeah. Because the people that follow me, they like it as closely as you can follow someone on TikTok. I know it's very, when you follow somebody, it doesn't mean nearly as much as something like YouTube or Instagram. But the people that do watch my videos frequently enough expect like me to be enjoying myself, right? Like they expect me to be making a video like I usually do. So my assumption is that the reason it doesn't perform is the less me a video is, the less people are going to enjoy it, and the poorer quality it is overall. I think there's a really close relation between a video performing and you having fun making it or enjoying what you're creating. I think that comes across really naturally.
Mm-hmm. Okay, like I want to go deeper into like your videos. A lot of your videos are shot on like an iPhone. Doesn't sound like you're scripting them. And then on the flip side, there's like the high production quality. When you are advising a startup that is creating like software, for example, when they're creating like organic pieces of content, there's a fine line, right? Because some brands want to portray this like extremely professional and like super high quality image of themselves, right? Whereas other brands and software companies don't really care that much. They're just looking for like, what performs the best, what increases conversion. So there's this fine line between keeping the brand image, a certain way by like creating highly produced content, and then also like getting conversion. I guess like, how do you wrestle with that?
It's not super case by case. I think generally the content that performs best, I have a huge bias here, but for a SaaS company, for a company that makes a tool that does something, showing your tool in action, doing some very specific thing. Like if you build a product and you built a SaaS product, its goal is to solve some problem. And if you did that correctly, if your SaaS product solves some problem, then all of your videos should be about solving people's problems with your SaaS tool. It should be common problems that people run into. It should be cool things that you can do. Like the software product was designed to do something. And the further you stray towards like mass media, towards trends, towards like making viral content, I see that generally, at least within experienced teams, just performing terribly. But the more that you used your tool for what it was built for, even if that is really niche content, I don't have a ton of data points, and I am biased, but that, in my opinion, and from what I've seen, seems to do the best for brand. Just like highly focused on the mission and the goal of what your product was designed to do, even if it is really, because like same thing with me, right? If my video on tech was not niche, I made a more broad video, and here's use a little tech piece to solve some broader problem, but it's not what I'm good at. I'm good at like much more in-depth tech stuff. And it didn't really do much for me, even though it did go really, really broad. I didn't get many followers. If you talk like somebody converting to a follower as my sign up, if we treat the brand versus me the same way, the broad video didn't really do much for me. So again, bias, but I feel like keep it niche, even if that doesn't seem like it's going to lead to the most conversions. Broad market appeal, unless your product has some really broadly useful thing, isn't going to lead to people that are actually going to use your product, because it's just more people viewing. But more views doesn't mean anything if you're not finding people that actually care about solving the problem your product was meant to do. So yeah, I'm a bit of a hippie about it though. If that's not extremely obvious, I'm very like, just make shit that makes you feel good, man. Like I like, the content that I enjoy and the content that I make is stuff that I like to make, right? Or stuff that I wish I was making. It's people having fun with whatever it is. And I've seen brand content like that as well. And that's the stuff that I prefer. But as far as that goes towards conversions, I think my opinion is a little bit biased. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like what your entire process is from ideation.
Great question. Yeah. I never script anything, first of all. I would like to get into scripted content. Yeah. I would like to get into scripted content on YouTube in the next coming month. Because I just have a bunch of ideas that I can't get out in shorter videos. So I'd like to try that. Thus far, all of my videos are like more or less completely unscripted. I have found, in my experience, I have found that TikTok at least is kind of just a matter of creating a ton of stuff. Like some videos that I make, they will be the exact same topic, or almost identical to topics of videos that have done really, really well. And I'll make 10 of those videos. Well, none of them will perform even remotely as well as like the first or second one that I did. It kind of just starts to seem random after a certain point. And I know it's not. I know there's an algorithm, and I know there are metrics that decide like how often people view in the first 5 seconds and how long they stick around. I know those metrics matter. But generally, I have a list of tools that I like to make videos on. I work my way through those tools. I'm about to do another round where I go back and do all the tools again. But I have a list of tools that I make videos of. I have a list of ideas that I just write down on my little to-do list app. Like, hey, here are some video ideas for you to go and try. And then a lot of the videos that I make, which is really nice because I don't have to personally ideate, I just look for comments. I have a lot of comments on a lot of my videos. How do I build this specific startup idea? And then I respond to that comment. Here is how I would do it. Here are the no-code tools that I would. And that makes it really easy. Don't have to think as much. I just have to talk with people, right? Answer their questions. But none of it's scripted. All of it's just kind of based on what tools I think off the top of my head would be best. I do a bit of Googling. I do a bit of searching. I find what I think is the best setup. And then I just kind of film myself doing it. I cut it up. I edit it on the TikTok app. In terms of metrics, like sometimes when there is a video that does really well, or there's a video that's unexpectedly doing well, like I'll make a lot of like super crazy niche videos. Some questions that people ask are like so specific that I doubt anything is going to go anywhere. But when something like that does well, I like to go through all the comments. I'll try to respond to every comment, but I miss a lot. I like to pay attention to especially what people are saying, but some of the metrics as well. To see if there's like anything different from my other videos. And so far, honestly, looking at all my metrics, I haven't really found anything that stands out wildly and like, oh, that's shocking. Like nothing has surprised me. It kind of looks like the same term, the same like average watch time, the same interest level. 1 or 2 videos have like gotten like notably more comments. Like, so in terms of the engagement rate, it's a little weirder, but more comments versus like, and I try to look into those, but it's kind of just a shotgun approach of make as much content that you enjoy as you can, and stuff sort of naturally grows that way.
Yeah, I was curious your opinion on like AI and like creating content, automatically creating content and using like these content generation tools, because your interest is in no code, but then the style of videos that you make is very, I guess you just said right now, like nothing scripted, you know, things that come to your head. So what is your opinion on, I guess, like founders, people, companies, operators, whatever, using AI and like no code tools for creating content, or like getting inspired versus coming up with like original stuff, right? Because isn't there like a clash between, you know, using it for automation and then also just like having not original content?
I'm glad so far that I haven't seen an overwhelming amount of AI content, but it's getting more and more there. And I think that's going to be really weird. I just have some general kind of opinions on that. But generally, in terms of content, I haven't seen anybody automate it well. Content, especially on places like TikTok, where it's like it's a person's face is what you usually expect. It's kind of like simulated human to human interaction. On a platform like that, it feels like the further you stray from organic, original human to human interaction, the worse you're going to do. And you could make an argument for like, if you're using AI and you're using automation, you can pump out, like I said, a shotgun approach, right? You can pump out like thousands of shotguns at the same time if you're using AI. So I think there's definitely an argument for like maybe some crossover to automate specific interesting video bits. I just haven't seen anybody do it well. Everybody that I've seen try to automate stuff, it's unoriginal, low quality content. So maybe we'll get to a point where that changes. But
yeah, I don't think it'll do that. But in terms of like the process, like it's already going to help like creating scripts and stuff.
I think like for this, absolutely. Like I think AI is good at like simple repetitive tasks. And if you already have content and the AI isn't involved in, like, let's say you run a podcast like this, right? It's like a 3-hour podcast. You're having a really in-depth conversation. The process of going through that and like finding all of the clips that are engaging or cutting those out or anything like that. Like I've seen a lot of that stuff is done pretty automatically now, and it's still good content. I think having a human review or tweak things that are created by AI, like just if they're, because an AI is going to have a little bit of trouble picking up on, you know, things like laughing in between things that may make it more entertaining, right? Like people have, so in some cases like that, I think it's good to have somebody in the middle making those kind of decisions. But generally, like for editing and stuff, that's just a repetitive task. AI is going to be fabulous. I think that's a perfect use case for it. When it comes to scripting and video ideas and topic ideas, I don't like it, but I think it probably works for people. I never use AI for video ideas. I am very niche. I'm not sure if it would do well for me anyway. But AI is trained off of popular data, right? And so when you ask it to give you ideas, it's going to give you unoriginal stuff. And sure, like like there's millions of video ideas out there that you may not be thinking of. Use it as an inspiration tool, in my opinion, rather than like okay, it generated 100 ideas. Let's roll with every single one of these 100 ideas. I think like, I just really think that the way to stand out on social media is to be weird and original, or at least take a very new approach on a popular topic. Like, I think that's what does well, and I think that's what people are interested in. If you see something you've never seen before, which is rare, you're gonna watch. So an AI is never going to give you ideas like that, because it's just based on what everybody else is already doing. Again, I don't use a lot of AI for script ideas. This is my opinion on the little bit that I've futzed with, but yeah, I gave like this is tangentially related. I gave a workshop like a year and a half ago. Maybe it was 2 years. No, it was like a year ago. To a bunch of students. The Thurgood Marshall College Fund. It was like an entrepreneurship program. Brought in a bunch of students from all around. A lot of historically Black colleges and universities. Really smart group of kids, basically pitching student ideas. And every single group of kids was using ChatGPT to come up with their startup ideas. And I had been there a couple of years before. And honestly, in my opinion, that group of people that just came up with all their ideas based off of what OpenAI was suggesting, it wasn't solving any problem. They were just kind of cool, sexy tech ideas, and I totally respect that. It was a learning experience for them. I don't think it caused any problem. But in terms of actually coming up with unique and original stuff, it just, the AI doesn't seem to be excellent at. So, and then of course, like, it makes sense. But I think for video ideas, AI is an inspiration to think of things you may not be thinking of that are already out there. That's not going to help you come up with like the next big thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I think of it more so like an assistant. So like you said, like doing repetitive tasks, you know, breaking down, summarizing things. You give it information and it like summarizes, cuts it up. You know, thinking of it more so like an assistant. I think that's where it's interesting. Yeah, you know, one thing that I actually saw someone talk about this was I forget who it was, but they were basically looking at posts that were like, I guess like similar posts that were posted cross platform, so like LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube or whatever. And when you're just like observing the comments, by far LinkedIn is like the nicest comments, because everyone's boss is like looking at the thing, so you can't like post hate or troll or anything like that, right?
I'd say like Reddit is probably the place where people are the most brutal, and then TikTok. There,
I guess it's the platforms that you can don't have your face and you can just say whatever you want. Those are the ones that are.
Yeah, I didn't expect to get much hate, but like people will roast the hell out of me in TikTok comments. They get savage. Like, I'm talking about a tech tool and they're like, "You're an idiot for using that tech tool. What a dumbass!" Like, people get so brutal, and I'm like, really? Is this what you're gonna Like, is that like, I get it if it was like a political opinion. Yeah, exactly. But like, I get it if it was like a political opinion or like even a sports thing that you're really passionate about, but you're really passionate about like what software to use enough to hate on somebody for suggesting something. It just shocked me. But yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I guess like if there's like one thing that you think brands should be doing, what is the one mistake these brands or these founders or creators that are doing when creating short form for social? And then if that's related, like one easy thing that they should be doing that maybe they're not.
Yeah, the what they should be doing is a little tough. I'll think about that. But I said it before, I'll say it again. I think the worst thing that you can do as a new like a product owner or a company is try to follow the trends. Unless your like product is like an energy drink, right? That everybody can purchase, everybody can have access to, everybody can enjoy, and unless it's the broadest market appeal product possible, you're not going to want to do the general trends that appeal to the broad audience. You're like, I've never followed a trend in my life, and I don't think I plan to. My topic is just too niche, and I have a pretty broad like in terms of a niche. Like, there's a lot that I can do. When you run a company, when you have a specific product, your niche is that product. It is what your product solves in the market. It is what it helps people do. And so, like, you can span a little bit outside of your niche for sure, but trying to shoehorn your product into these broader trends that have nothing to do with what your product does and solves, I don't think is ever going to create a good enough piece of content to go viral if that is your goal. Like, your goal shouldn't be to go viral. It should be to find everybody that cares about your specific solution, which is not people that are watching dancing videos. It's not people that are following trends. It is people that have very specific problems. And if you capture, like, if you get 1,000 views on a video and all of them are people that are genuinely interested and looking for a solution that your product solves, versus if you get 1 million views, but only 100 of those people are actually interested. Like, I know that's like a weird metric to compare, but it's just, I haven't seen people convert off of this shoehorned broad market appeal, trendy content that companies try to create. I think just keep it niche and you will find people that are genuinely interested.